Welcome back.
Welcome back to
Welcome back.
Basic Banter for Witches. You did it again. Whoop, whoop.
We made it
We
another
did it.
week.
Exactly.
Fresh and gold.
Oh, yes, exactly. We're back again. And we're so excited to say that we have another special guest on the podcast today. We've got Dr. Stacey Hornick with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Can I
She's
call you?
joining us from her beautiful palace of
Yes.
applause.
Yes. We
Thanks for having me.
Of course. We do like audio, obviously, for like people who listen through podcasts, like on the apps and that. But we also do it on YouTube as well. So there will be people who see your beautiful face and closet and all the things. So it's gorgeous. It's like
They'll just swoon over it like that I'm swooning right now.
literally swoon. Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Good. Yeah, we're so happy to have you. And this is one of our first episodes that we've been able to record now since Jessica's been back in Ireland.
Yes, because we did a whole bunch of episodes before I left. And then basically we've just been like, well, that was the point of like, you did a stockpile, then we can kind of just like paste it in. And now it's like, I'm settled enough. So let's like get into it again. So it's really nice to start with such a friendly face as well. One that we like know. So yeah. So I guess how did we come to know Dr. Stacey? So Bev Lazar,
Yeah.
So who's been on the podcast before is one of the Empath sisters. So she gave us your name because she was singing your praises about how you do your practice and that. But before we dive into like all of that, do you want to tell our people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't get the question. Say it one more time for me.
That's okay. I'm sorry, I talked
it.
fast. No, that's okay. Just before we dive into any like specific questions, is there anything that you'd like to share with our listeners before we get into the heat?
Like a little bit about
me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just honored to be invited. I listen to your podcast and I love it. And I love the sister element. I love all the giggles and inside jokes and just the energy that you bring to your podcast. And so I'm just really, really pleased to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and talking about some of the things that I think we're going to discuss today. It's really near and dear to my heart. Yeah. And it's not something that I necessarily talk about openly with everybody.
Yes.
So this is kind of interesting for me to, be here with you and not know exactly where the conversation is going to go. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it's also a little bit nerve-wracking to kind of think, okay, what could come up? What are we going to talk about?
Absolutely.
And, so I like that element because I'm often more of a pre-planner.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I like to practice things out, and I enjoy writing, and I present a lot, but it's mostly on topics that are more academic.
Yes.
And more clinical.
Mm-hmm.
So this is nice. This is like an expansion of self.
Because I would say that's like more rigid. This is very much more
mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we all need that, right? We need both things.
Yes.
Exactly. It is nice to switch gears every once in a while and like work those muscles,
Yeah.
And dabble in,
because that's really that's what it's about, right?
Yes,
working the muscles and I'm being with like-minded people.
Exactly. Yes. Well, we are very glad to have you.
We were so happy that when you said this, I was just like, I'm going to throw it out there and see what she says.
Literally.
I was so surprised, and I thought, yes, of course. I said yes right away. Yes, I would love to do that.
No, that's so good. No, it is honestly such an honor. So, so you are based in Saskatoon, and now I guess on the grand scheme, of course, we've got Dr. Stacey. She's a mother. She's a business owner. She's a chiropractor. She's, I guess, I would say a doctor of chiropractor. Doctor, what would you say that is? What's the
doctor of chiropractic?
Yeah. Brittany's purple.
Purple. Yeah, that's just how it is.
Brittany, it took like 2 minutes and purple Brittany. I'm sorry. If you want to leave and come back, you can.
Nope, we're going with it.
We're going purple.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Look what happened.
Yeah,
Her
for all of
computer.
our listeners, my laptop that I work on decides my previous computer decided just to completely shut me out.
Just die,
and
yeah.
turn off and be dead. And then I'd have to either get on my phone or restart my computer and add in myself like 15 minutes later. And now this one just turns me purple.
So we roll with it.
That's so funny.
Yeah, exactly.
You have problems with tech?
Yeah.
Purple's very healing. Did you know that? You must know that.
Yeah, purple is,
Yeah.
Is it though?
Is it? Yeah, it is. It suits you right now. Yeah. So I'm just gonna bring us back to topic, because we did mention, so we mentioned Bev earlier. So now we got her name or your name from her. I mean, specifically what I recall Bev talking about, I didn't think it was like one of our circles that we did with her, maybe. I don't really know how it came up. Yeah. And she was talking about how, this amazing chiropractor in the city who like incorporates, energy work of a sense like into what she does. I'm like, oh, that sounds like really cool. And I can't remember if I was pregnant or if I was like, I think I just had Maria. I don't actually know. Maybe I just had Maria, but anyways, I fell within that range of like clientele. I was like, oh, okay, let's check this out. So it was really great to experience that. So yeah, obviously as a doctor of chiropractic, how did you get to fuse these worlds? Like, how did even, your beginning in metaphysical even kind of start? Or tell me,
Did you feel like you always had that type of ability or like that kind of draw to the other side? Or did you feel like more of that opened up once you became a chiropractor?
I feel like I always was drawn there.
Nice.
And I was thinking about that over the last day or so when that really started. And I think I felt like that even when I was a child. There were things that I was drawn to that I didn't really understand, or things that I felt or knew that I didn't really understand. And my mom was she was very much an empath, but she didn't call herself that. She just, she would giggle about it and say, I have eyes in the back of my head and I always know what's going on. And I just assumed that was a mother thing, that all mothers were like that. And yeah. And then I think for me, I always explored. I always had interest in the things that I knew, the dreams that I had, the visions that I had. And then I guess in the last like 26 years of practice, 27 years of practice. I started I would know things about people that I hadn't met just by touching them, just by being in the room with them. I could, not as specific as one might think, but I could feel what they were feeling. I could feel their emotions. I could feel sometimes if something didn't feel good to me in terms of that their health was suffering. I could feel that. And when I have my hands on people, I sometimes will ask them questions, and I don't know where those questions come from, but it's like I need to know the answer because it's clinically applicable, but also it helps me to understand what's going on with them so that when I provide care for them, I can help them to express who they really are and express their best health.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just been something that has become like a sense for me that I am now open to, and I embrace it and I utilize it in all my patients, whether they're adults or newborns or children.
So your gift would kind of like, it sounds like a lot like clairvoyance, which is like that knowing. Like, it's just like, I don't know why I know this, but this is what I'm supposed to say, right? It's just like, it's as quick as anything that pops into your head. So, and then you said you've got your sight or your clear, what is that? Is that sentience? I don't even know. But that was seeing, or you mentioned visions. So do you get dreams, or is it like flashes, or do you want to, I guess I was so interested in other people's gifts. I love it. It's so exciting.
Love exploring it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so very early on, I would have dreams and visions that meant something to me,
Mhm.
and I was always interested in what they meant. And so, because sometimes they're abstract. Most of the time they're abstract. And so
Yeah.
you have to kind of dissect what the dream means. Yeah, or visions. Like, I meditate a lot. I have a
Yeah.
daily meditative practice, and I just invite the visual, I invite the guidance, and yeah, that helps me in my day-to-day life, and it helps me in my practice too. And yeah, I think I spoke on this actually recently. We had a chiropractic philosophy kind of meeting, and I was asked to be the opening speaker, and um, I just talked about trusting that guidance
Yeah.
in practice and just really listening because it's there for a reason. And
Mhm.
I guess, you utilize that over the course of your life, and then you realize that that guides you to your purpose if you listen to it.
Yeah.
And I believe that people come into my practice oftentimes not knowing what you knew about my practice, but they'll
Mhm.
come in and they'll return for continued care, sometimes for years. Sometimes,
Yeah.
I've seen adults who I adjusted as babies
Yeah.
in practice now that I've been doing it for this long. And they come back for something. And maybe it's because of how they felt, or maybe it's because they just felt like, I
Mhm.
was perhaps in tune with what was
Yeah.
happening with them.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so we provide, I feel like I provide care that goes beyond just the physical realm. It
Yeah.
has to also involve helping people heal emotionally,
Yeah.
um, and giving them confidence in their body that they have everything that they need inside to be healthy and to be well, and
Yeah.
just tapping into that, helping
Yeah.
them to tap into the same thing that I'm tapping into, because it's there for all of us. It's just whether we listen to it and pay attention
Exactly.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah. A reoccurring thing this year is a lot of people are going through this like stage of awakening. Now, I mean, everybody's at different points in that, and some people are listening, some people are not interested, and that's just fine. But as somebody who's, been enlightened, let's call it that, for a long time and being able to trust oneself, for those who are just starting to like wake up, do you have any, I mean, outside of just trusting your gut, is there any other advice you'd give to somebody who might be curious?
Yeah, it really helps me to spend time with other people who are gifted. And I feel for myself that the gifts are all very different, like you said.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm always very interested in how other people tap in. Um, and so spending time with people who have similar gifts and can guide you, like knowing Bev
Yeah.
Lazar, for example,
Mhm.
she helped me to understand and be open. Um, and just because it is something that you train in yourself, like anything else, like any other skill set. The more
Yeah.
you utilize it, the more you're open to it, the more you listen, the more time you spend, quiet time you spend. Because
Hmm.
it's not just about the doing,
Hmm.
it's also about the making space to listen and to be quiet and let it in, invite it in,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and not judge what it is, because we want to, in our logical mind, I think we want to make sense of it. And sometimes it doesn't make sense. It's just a feeling or a guidance.
Yeah.
Like I said, sometimes you say things or you ask questions, or you know I adjust far more intuitively now than I ever did before. And working with babies and working with children, um, for me, I think that helped me to tap into it more.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I just feel like, you know, I learned through children, I learned through all the babies that I see in practice, because they're so pure, their energy's so pure, they're so close to source that, um,
Yeah.
the way that I communicate to them with my voice, looking in their eyes, with my touch, I really feel like I have a much easier time communicating with them because it's beyond verbal.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So I guess maybe getting quiet and figuring out, where are your senses heightened?
Mhm.
Is it in your touch? Is it in what you see? Is it what you hear? Is it when you're dreaming? Is it when you're in the workplace?
Yeah.
Is it when you're painting? Or where is it that you feel a calling?
Yeah.
I love that.
Exactly. That is really great
Mhm.
advice. Honestly, it is. And I mean, you said that you do like a daily meditative practice, and you're right. It's like you have to hold space for this gift, but also it's like, I kind of like, it is a part of yourself. So like the way that you should hold space for yourself as well. Like you should give yourself, as a mom, or whatever, 5 minutes to get your stuff done or whatever. But like make sure that like you're gifting yourself the time to it's your gift, right? It's like ignoring like, oh, I have to do stretches or whatever, I have to brush my hair or brush my teeth, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Things that we have to do or we
Mhm.
should do, right? But not a lot of people make the time to do it. It's like it's only going to be beneficial to you
Yeah.
if you do this for you. Anyways, I think that was really cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Need
that's
to touch-
really neat.
Yeah, I don't mean
That's
to
good.
interrupt, but
No, go
for
ahead.
the way that you treat people in your practice, is there a certain name of your technique, or is it just very much just intuitive?
The way
I've
that I
never,
adjust,
Yeah.
yeah,
the techniques that I use.
I just didn't know if it was
Um,
like a certain name because, like, from the amount of people that I've told about you, which is a lot of people,
Yeah.
and like you not only have treated me, but you've been treating my little guy. I tell lots of people because the moment that they find out that he's had treatment, they're like, "What? Like, does that hurt him?" I was like, "No,
He
not at
lays
all.
there. Yeah.
He's
Sleeps
not."
better, eats better. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
and I try to explain the techniques that you do, but it's easier to me. It's easier to have like a name on it, and then people normally are just like, "Okay, cool," then they're satisfied with the name. Instead, I'm just like, "So she does this,
Yeah.
and she does this thing, and then she
So
does
she
this."
like, and then she taps, and then you kind of,
Yeah. You move your head a certain way, and
exactly. And then she
It's
just
like
kind of pokes,
magic.
she
it's
kind
not
of pokes
literally
your
though.
tailbone. Exactly. I'm like, I don't know how she does it, but it all works. Exactly.
It's
Um,
amazing every time.
yeah. So we know that you like,
So
oh,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. Yep. I totally interrupted.
so you asked about techniques. Um, so I use two techniques in my practice. One is called torque release technique, which is we utilize an instrument and sometimes just gentle finger pressure. And I also use a technique called neuro impulse protocol, which is NIP, and that's what I use specifically for my pediatric patients. And they're both tonal techniques, which means that we're working with the whole nervous system, and they're gentle because
Yeah.
you're putting information into the nervous system that's very specific in terms of the direction and the
Yeah.
torque and and the amount of force. It's very fast, but I think you would both agree it's all very gentle. And with the
Oh, very.
babies,
Oh,
we
Yes.
use
yeah.
we use just little gentle finger presses with the babies. And those techniques are based on neurology. So we're looking basically at the dural system,
Yeah.
working with energy. And so the dural system is like it's like a structural fibrous material that connects the brain inside the cranium, and also connects to bones of the spine, so the upper cervical spine, and down in the lower back at the lumbosacral junction. And so that whole dural system creates a tone, if you will,
Okay.
within the nervous system that allows for us to address if there's any tension that's creating stress. And if the brain and the nervous system are distracted by the stress, then there is not ease, not just in the muscle system, but also in the organ systems and also in hormonal regulation. So that's why after an adjustment, you feel more relaxed and
Mm-hmm.
you feel good and you don't feel as sore and you sleep better. And babies typically sleep better
Yeah.
and they digest better and they poop better and they're happier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we can
Exactly.
express, we want to express who we truly are. So basically, if you're talking about it in an energetic sense, you're releasing all potential energy from the brain,
I love it.
which is incredibly powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where our healing is, and that's where our governing and regulating force comes from, is all from the brain. So if we want the brain to do its best job, and energetically we want to be able to feel our best and express who we truly are, and realize all of our gifts, whatever they happen to be, we have to have that ability. We have to have that ability energetically. And so no matter how you talk about it, whether you talk about the brain or whether you talk about releasing energy, we are all just energy.
Yeah.
So if we're trying to fool ourselves that we're not working with energy all day long and interacting with people, interacting with their energy all day long,
Exactly.
I think it's kind of strange to assume that we aren't doing that.
Right.
Yeah. Right. You're right. Because that's
Well,
like we are energy nonstop.
Literally.
Right?
Yeah.
Every transaction.
And our energy extends far beyond us, far beyond our physical body. So we do feel each other's feels.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. It was so beautifully put. Thank you.
No, I do love that
like,
you
what do you
incorporate
need to
it.
explain?
I'm like, I know she's like got this magic touch, which you do. So obviously within your work life is pretty, like intuitively guided. I guess, do you find that you use your gifts like outside of work? And do you think anybody else in your family has, resonated with any of those gifts, or has any of their own? Outside of your mother, I guess.
That's interesting. That's an interesting question. I absolutely use that outside of my practice. And I think that's difficult for people sometimes.
You're in good
because,
company. We get it.
It's difficult for people to make sense of that, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have to explain things to everybody all the time, because it's a lot of work to have to explain that, especially I think certainly more so for people who maybe aren't open to that. So I get, lots of questions from friends. How did you know that? What do you mean? Why did you say that?
Yeah, exactly.
Why did you ask me that?
And you also have to defend yourself for knowing why.
It is exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. And that's exhausting. And there's that energy at play again too, right? Because it's like you're giving that energy away. You're working hard for that information, whether you intend to, right? It's like, oh, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know about my kids. I don't know whether they feel that way too. I know that my kids are certainly drawn to certain things, and they're definitely open to that. I think it takes sometimes a while to accept those things when you're growing up.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And then now that we're like older and, it's like, I mean, obviously, the babies have this like direct link to source, right? And as we get older, we forget and, we reject almost. But coming to like, especially as like a doctor, I mean, like a very logical, profession, from having that rigid, again, logical view of like, this is science versus like, it's hard, it's compare and contrast, but within the same being. It's really, really neat that somebody in your field has this understanding that it can work either way. I really appreciate that, actually, as like somebody who's like, I still don't get it, and we talk about that in like all of our podcasts. We're like, I don't know what we're doing, but we have to, things have to come out. It's like, I don't know, I've just been told that's just what they say, right? But it is nice and refreshing to have somebody with such a logical point of view as to like the medical side of it all. Again, our bodies are computers, and this is how they work and function, but also this. I think it's so cool.
Yeah. It is cool. And we talk about like getting in the zone. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of my colleagues and I have talked about that because I think when you're in a touchy-feely kind of profession, you know, and when you're busy in practice, your energy is interacting with a lot of people throughout the day.
Yes.
So I think that's when things started happening for me, is when I initially got very busy in practice and I was so exhausted from it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the physical part of it.
Yeah.
It was also me not realizing how to create boundaries. I mean, I would walk around after a day at work and my knee would hurt. I would limp because I had somebody coming in talking to me about that. I'd have headaches. You know, I would have the symptoms that they had
Yeah.
after my day was done.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, I would talk to my husband about it and he would say, oh, well,
Yeah.
you know, you have to get better at that. You have to protect yourself. And I thought, well, what does that mean? How do I protect myself? And then I had to kind of dive into what sort of things do I need to put into place in the clinic and within myself so that I can utilize my skills to the best of my ability, tap in, help people get healthier, help them understand their own power without having the negative influences of their energy affect me and dampen my ability to provide, you know. And then and I think you get pretty practiced at implementing that in your personal life too. So you spend time with the people whose energies are bright and helpful and nurturing, and you start to repel the energies that are not for you and just accept that, right?
Exactly.
So
giving away our energy for free is not ideal. And it's like the people who drain it and like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's something that we talk about quite often on the podcast, as well as like protecting ourselves and, you know, being aware, I guess, of, you know, the energy spent in other areas. I guess I'm trying to like go back and like think of what I observed. Like obviously after every like client, you guys have your hand wash station, which is like, I mean, probably, you know, for more than just cleansing that, but it's like, you know, hygienic as well. But do you do any clearing practices like at the beginning of the day, or like, you know, I guess,
I
what do
do.
you do? You've got Bev spray.
Yes, I do that. And I love that. And we smudge the clinic regularly. And I will often, I'll shake energy off after. Usually after every adjustment, I tap in, make sure that my job is done. If my job's not done and there's still other issues to adjust, I'll adjust. And then I do basically a little energy clearing. And not, just to be clear, a lot of my patients don't know that I'm doing this.
No,
I know.
It's on another level that they would never know anyway.
Exactly. Well, they know that I do a thing with my hands, and sometimes they'll see me shake it off to the side of the room, and I'm always very careful where I shake it.
Yeah. Fair.
That there's no little people running around underfoot. And
I can hear your bracelets. Like I can hear your bracelets rattling. Yeah.
Oh,
like not right now, but like of that sensation.
I was like, oh, that's what that is.
Yeah. That's also me spinning my instrument.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I spin it clockwise or counterclockwise. So that might be bracelets and an instrument. So you hear little magical sounds.
Exactly.
And then we have other things placed around the clinic to clear the energy too. I also wanted to have a couple of windows in the rooms that I adjust for that reason. And I've kind of outfitted the whole clinic, and Bev helped me to do that.
Amazing.
Somebody else like many years ago helped us to do that. In fact, we used to be in another location in the mall. And it was really weird because we kept having problems with the plumbing. We had like a staff bathroom at the back, and we kept having all these issues. And somebody had said to me, there's something at the back of the clinic. It's not good. You gotta do this and you gotta do that. And I thought,
Yeah.
okay. And didn't really understand what she was talking about. And then we had this huge flood.
Oh my God.
And the whole back of the clinic flooded, and we had to like cut out drywall, and we had to do this whole renovation. And
Oh my gosh.
eventually the mall management said, we're moving you, we're building a new clinic, it's on the other side of the mall. And so we got to design this whole new clinic. And so in the design of the clinic, we designed it in a way that was energetically good for circulation of energy and nothing that gets stagnated. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a horseshoe.
So I had
in the windows.
evolved enough by then to know.
Yeah, I mean, it always happens the way it's supposed to. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, obviously. But were you guys, so like, of course, a side note, were you like beside Safeway, or where were you?
No, we were on the other side of the mall. What was over there? There was a restaurant over there, and there's a health food store over there.
Oh yeah. Oops, scared you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks
We were over there.
Sorry, Brittany?
It was like a Sangsters over there or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So interesting. That's a market mall for those people in Saskatoon.
Yeah.
They're like, what a random word to say Safeway. But I was like, I'm just trying to think here. I mean, market malls changed so much over, the years of time. So that's really cool. Yeah.
I think it's one of the oldest malls, maybe the oldest mall in the city.
Oh, I betcha. I know that like Center Mall is old. Like because it used to be Circle Park. Yes.
Right.
Circle Park Mall and Center Mall. It was like two different malls and then they linked them. And then there you go. And then Happy Days.
And then there's Confed Mall too. I thought Confed was the oldest.
Oh, I have no idea.
Who knows? In a history
I'm not sure.
Yes. Basic banter. Next week dives into the histories of malls in Saskatoon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's so good. Honestly, I really like I said, I really love that insight that you've been able to like build a practice around like the feng shui of it all to make it work for your energy work. Would you even call what you do energy work?
Yeah, I often call it energy work. I think if that resonates with people, they know what I'm talking about when I say that.
Yeah.
But it kind of depends on who your audience is. That's what I find to be difficult is being that chameleon that can jump into a very kind of academic clinical conversation about what we're doing, and then also discuss what I shouldn't say we, because not everybody practices like that, but what I am bringing to practice is something different than when I started.
Yes.
I mean, when I started, I was just figuring it out. And it took me many, many years before I could surrender to listening to my inner knowing about things.
Yeah.
And I think it helps me diagnostically too, because I have, when I sit down to do a history with a mom and a baby and they come in with, this presentation, I know how to jump right to the important questions and not do things, the list of 100 things that we're taught to do in school, because, you don't want to miss anything. Then you fine tune, and then you just get, I don't know, better at honing in on what the issue is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
You've done it enough times to know what's going to come out of that as well, right? Like how the body will react. And
and sometimes you're there and you're listening to what's going on with the baby, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, sweet mama, it's you're the one that needs the TLC.
Exactly.
The baby's going to be fine. And and then I have the confidence and the loving intention to say that in that
exactly.
way. Right? You're here for a reason.
You're knowing exactly like mom needs to hear this right now. And then they'll cry, as we've all done in your office. I feel like
right.
All of us.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like again, a
Yeah.
release is good, right? But it's like, yeah. Oh
You
gosh.
provide a safe enough place that we're just like, we're just gonna have a quick cry.
I'm just gonna, oh, you've got the, just close the door on your way out, Dr.
Yeah, exactly.
Stace.
I just give an extra minute.
Exactly.
Yeah. We go
Oh,
through a lot of
my God.
Kleenex.
I believe it.
But that's
I'm
again,
always grabbing for the box and then I go, damn it, we're out again.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh
But
my
no, that
goodness.
emotional release is huge. And it's like a big, yes, it's amazing. It's so important. That's good. I love that you can trigger that within people. I can't remember what my last question was here. Nope. What was it? Sorry. It was, I hate that.
This is why we need to write things down. Do we?
This is like, no, because I'm like, oh, well, let's see where it goes. Also, yeah, you said that you don't really share this like gift with people, but when that kind of instant comes up where like, you know, you're having that one-to-one with that mom or whichever, like, do you tell her or have you disclosed any of this to any of your, I mean, obviously once this podcast promotes, people are gonna be like, oh my God, Dr. Stacey, can I see her? But it's
Yeah, buckle up. We're gonna have a lot of people flushing your way.
Exactly. But yeah, do you ever feel like, I don't want to say the word safe, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like you're in good company in that sense.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
How about this?
Yeah.
I know, I know when I can be forthcoming about it.
Yeah.
And I know also when somebody's not there yet,
Yes.
right? If they haven't upgraded.
There you go.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that of course is fine, and I'm still gonna love them and still honor
Yeah.
them, and they don't have to know why what I'm doing works.
Yeah.
In
No.
fact, I think for some people, and you know, I understand I don't work for everybody. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You know, and I have, you know, said to people, I don't know that I'm the right person for you. I'm going to send you to somebody who I think is the right person for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do share with some people. I think it kind of depends on, I know some people would be afraid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I don't want to influence their healing experience with me by sharing something that they're not ready to know.
Yes.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Because does it really matter?
Mm-hmm.
No, not enough.
No.
Right? If you're doing it with loving intent, I don't think
Exactly,
it really matters. Do I share it a lot? Yeah, I share it a lot. And because I share it a lot with people that I feel it's safe to do so,
Yes.
I end up attracting a lot of people like me into my practice, which is wonderful because I was listening to this other podcast today, and this guy who he's an expert in happiness. He's a PhD, and he was talking about this study of fireflies. Have you heard this study?
No.
No.
You heard about this? Okay, it's kind of cool. So I don't know if this is all fireflies or just the particular type of firefly in the study, but they light up and then they darken, but they don't do it independently of one another. They all do it at the same time. And when they do that, it is beneficial to them in terms of their population and in terms of their health.
Okay.
And so the interesting thing that he was talking about was how we have things to learn from these fireflies, that if we all support one another in shining brighter and expressing who we truly are and allowing for that energetic expansion, then we all benefit from it. We're all healthier and better from it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's part of what I try to instill in people on a personal level or on a professional level, that it is part of why we're all here. is
Yeah.
to shine our lights and share our gifts.
Mhm.
And we're all better off when we do that. And when we attract people who are similar in energy, then we
Yeah.
all benefit and we get stronger and brighter and better on a community level. So that whole, you were talking about just how recently people are opening up to this way of thinking and
Yeah.
wanting to expand. And I think
Yeah.
that's why.
Yeah.
I think we are, this is a new experience.
Yeah.
Right? More people are tuning in.
Yeah. That's a lovely study, honestly. We preached like
Yeah.
community and like building your coven, or or whatever, your support of like, talking about what gifts you might have, even if you're not, what you're not sure, but like finding the safe people around you to express that. Because you're right, like, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful
It
thing.
is.
It's not
It
for
is a beautiful
everybody,
thing.
not everybody yet, and that's
No.
totally fine. But it is like, the more, actually, well, yeah, when we started doing our energy or work, like a card reading or whichever, it's like, oh, I didn't know you do that. It was like, well, I didn't really feel like I could say it until now, and right.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
there's,
And I think even people that know you, even people that know you now that have never listened to your podcast, do you ever get people saying, oh,
Mhm.
I didn't know. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah,
Right. And then you
all
go,
the time.
yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, that's just something that I
I
really
brush
like
it
to
off, be like,
do.
yeah, it's not a big deal.
That's
It's
just
just
how we
like a big
roll.
part of my
Exactly.
identity.
Literally, exactly. It's just like the biggest part of me
Yeah.
that I love, but whatever. No, it's
Yeah, it's the thing that's exciting, right?
yeah, it
Like,
is
I think
exciting.
sometimes we find these things about ourselves in different ways, in with different vehicles, and then we arrive there and go, oh, okay, this is part of my purpose. I'm supposed to give of this gift in this
Yeah,
way. And I'm supposed to
exactly.
connect with like-minded
Yeah.
people who are also intrigued and also get excited about the idea of using your gifts for good.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. For good. And yeah, just being aware that everybody has the gifts and everybody's entitled to them, right? It's not it's not, I shouldn't say it's not for everybody. It is for everybody. It's just we have to choose to accept it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, that's so good.
But
Yeah, I think that's fabulous. I don't want,
Yeah,
I like, oh, sorry, Brittany? Or
oh,
who did I
okay.
interrupt? I'm like, who did I
think it-
interrupt?
uh,
Purple
but I think
lady.
we're
I
ready to
forgot.
like get a card flow going, because I
Yeah.
can just feel the energy. It's just like boom, 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 boom,
Boom, boom,
boom.
boom, boom, boom. Exactly. Yeah. And I feel it too. I've been like shuffling for a few minutes because I'm like, okay, this is all good. Like, you know what I mean? And you're kind of
I know.
pulling the theme. Sometimes, well, I'm sure as you've listened, like we'll pull cards and we always do it like live while we're recording or whatever. Cause like otherwise I could sit there and be like, oh, oh, it's this card that resonates the most. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, we're doing a live pull, I promise. It's like they just know. So yeah, Brittany and I both have decks to pull, and then like I said, Dr. Stacey, you're welcome to pull if you would like to.
Okay.
I'd actually love it if you feel called to, or if there's something else that you feel like you want to share. It's a time to express yourself. We would love to have you take part in whatever
You're
way.
in a safe space here.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're good.
So I will go first. I'm
Yes,
gonna
please.
be pulling a card from, this is a deck that Jessica gave me.
Oh, fun.
I think it was anyway. We have to confirm, but it's a Shadowscapes Tarot.
Yes.
I know you can't really tell in the purple background that
It is purple.
but it's beautiful. It just also happens to be purple.
Oh, that's funny. So it's like it was meant to be. It's all good.
Yeah. It was meant to be. So I'm just laughing. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, so the card that I pulled was the Six of Swords. And this is a little tough to see right now, but I'll better explain it in a heart. 1 second here.
It's okay.
Oh, just sorry, baby sneezes.
Uh-huh.
This means a passage away from difficulties. This is a chance to recover after tribulations.
Okay.
So
Fair.
it's like the hard part's over.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like time to like
Like the
like,
waiting's
gather your shit and keep going. You gotta deal.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
the card reminds me of like wheat growing in a field. I don't know if that's on there. Is that on there?
Well,
Which I mean, like at that point, it's like it's harvest time and like we're in the thick of
there
it.
are
but-
crows.
Okay,
There's
I don't
crows.
know. But I'm just thinking of like, oh, okay, so like we're like in harvest time, but like we're nearly done, and it's like the tedious, like as farmer people, it's like, oh God, it's such like a draining thing. But that's why I kind of get that is like, okay, we're coming towards the
Oh,
end.
that's it too, because that is part of like a journey.
Exactly. Yeah. Yearly,
Mhm.
annually. Yes. Lovely. Well, that's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull from, so I'm so glad I'm like reunited with like my
Your
Kim
actual-
Kranz, my actual like life-size deck. I loved my travel deck. It was great. I
It was
like
a love date,
so
though.
yeah,
You did
yeah.
love it.
It was my animal spirit. It's not tarot, it's an oracle. But yeah, I have a pocket one and it's like traveled the world with me, right? But there's something about my good old faithful lady here. So I'm just gonna see what our people need to know for this week that it comes out. Okay, let's see. Okay, right at the top. A buffalo. I think that's so freaking appropriate. But the card was, yeah, you know what I mean, it's like no, without even looking at it. I mean, I will look at it and I'll read it. But like a buffalo is like gets the shit done. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, very hardy. Grounded yet heavenly, practical yet spiritual. The hooves of the mighty buffalo are grounded in the earth, and yet its heart and mind rise towards heaven. The buffalo sees challenge, hardship, or a bump in the road as an opportunity for upliftment. Therefore, the buffalo does not fear death, illness, or misfortune. Its gentle eyes look to the road ahead, trusting every turn. May we all experience this elusive yet life-changing bliss from time to time, and may we allow this card to remind us that life is a precious gift. So when we're in balance, we're trusting pure presence. When we're out of balance, we're restless, lacks gratitude. To bring into balance prayer or bhakti, which is like a yoga practice. So finding that oneness. And I think again, also like that time to discover and trust oneself.
Yeah.
So I
Love it.
love that.
Lovely. I love that too.
Yeah. I love this deck. Anyways, yeah. So what yeah, how are you feeling? You want to do it?
Do I want to do it? Okay, well,
Or whatever.
so-
Like, or yeah, whatever. You tell us if you want to do one, or if you've got like a knowing, a little download or anything like that, that's cool too.
I'll pull a card too.
Sure.
Cool.
How about that?
Perfect.
love
Love it.
Okay. So I have, these were given to me from a dear friend who is a doula in
Ooh.
Saskatoon.
Was
Like,
she
She's
like,
an amazing,
Is her name
amazing
Carmen?
doula. Yes,
yeah.
actually. Yeah, so these are
Oh, I love
the
that.
Oh, that's
super
gorgeous.
tractor. Yeah,
That's so funny.
yes. So
Carmen was
I know.
Brittany's doula, and like I was in my spiritual gifts course with her. That's so funny. Such a small world. Again, like
Right?
Beverly,
It is.
Bev Lazar just gives us all this, like she's like the initiator of our little
Yeah, she's
path
like,
here. I
yeah.
love it.
She brings us all together.
Exactly. Oh, that's
Brings us all
hilarious.
together. Okay, so this is from Super Tractor. Well, it's very attracty. Can you see it?
Oh yeah. I accept that good things come easily. I am a super attractor.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I do like the
Yes.
contrast of this, like the cards here, like the hard work paying off. And it's like, it may be hard work, but we're looking at it as easy. And it's like, oh, it's good. Good things come to me
But
easily.
it's
I love
good,
that.
like, all three cards
Yes.
connected though, because it
Oh,
was
of
like
course they did. Yeah,
you're in recovery, you're finding your one self, and now it's just like I'm attracting the good.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's getting
Yeah,
over the
we are
hump.
attracting the good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're attracting each other, all the good.
Exactly. All the
All the good
goods.
people.
Exactly. Hey, finding our soul family. I can't remember who
Yeah,
said that
that's
to
right.
me. The soul family. I don't know.
Soul
Maybe it was-
family?
We were
yeah.
talking to
Marcella?
Jamie.
It doesn't matter. Oh yeah, that's right, Jamie. Oh yeah, with the burgeoning point, we're like talking about building our soul family and like people coming in at the right time, for the right purpose of like, and that like-mindedness as well. So it's like, yes. It's like
I love it.
we're all
You're
basically
part of our
cousins.
soul family.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but
Never
it
let
is.
you go.
No, exactly. You're in. We've already decided
Yeah.
that long before this podcast. It was like we heard about you first. We're like, and that is who we need in our
She's our
lives.
people
Yeah.
now. Part of our people.
Exactly. Yeah. So, where can people find you? I guess, do you have a website? Do you have any social media?
Yes, we do. We have a website. We are at Market Mall Family Chiropractic, and that's in Saskatoon. We also have an Insta page. You can find all of that. We have a Facebook page. Yeah, and I should mention this also. I feel like I should mention this.
You're welcome to.
So we have a thing with my practice because I've been in practice for a long time, and I only see pediatric and perinatal. So anytime around pregnancy, as we talked about earlier, if you are wanting to be pregnant, you're just about to give birth, you've just given birth, but also for our people, for our community, there's this kind of unwritten rule with my team that if you call and say, I want to see Stacey because she is part of our community, then that gets you a foot in the door. Otherwise, they might say to you, oh, she's not seeing new patients. So
Wow.
So I just feel like for our community, it's important for me to say that.
Absolutely.
And
that's how I got mine. I had to drop that name. I was like, listen.
Literally. I know. Yeah. We used the Bev card.
Yeah.
No, it was so good. I mean, happily, babies came anyways. Do you know what I mean? So it was like
so of course.
pre and postnatal happy days, but but no, definitely. And I think that's great.
We want to attract our people. That's what this is all about, right?
Exactly.
We're all super attracting the people that are supposed to be in our lives. So I trust that. I trust that process, and I trust who it is that comes my way as a result of that. So
Well, I do think that like you've got such like power in this knowledge of your gift and like talking to people about this, like how it's like plain text to you. Do you know what I mean? It just makes sense. And the way that you're able to transcribe that to other people is really enlightening, and I really appreciate you doing that with us today. And I think you should do like speaking engagements or something. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it's just like you know what I mean? Like I'm just like you're just so brilliant, and I hope you know that.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
Of course.
Bev and Shelley from the Empath Sisters to have like their own little retreat or whatever, I'm gonna be like, listen, Dr. Stacey's coming.
Exactly.
She's gonna be.
That would be fun. That would be really fun. Actually, and you know what? It's something that I haven't really thought a lot about doing. In fact, if I was being completely honest with myself about prior speaking engagements and that sort of thing, it's always been a very stressful experience for me because it's a different kind of experience. And I will be asked to present at the university or other places, and I'll come home and feel completely and totally depleted because I had to walk such a fine and narrow tightrope, basically, and to speak about things that are true to your heart and dear to your heart. I think it energizes you. It should feel the opposite of that. So I always questioned, why don't I feel that way about speaking, right? But this is fun. This is how
it should be.
You want to feel. This is how it should be.
This is how it should be. Exactly. Well, I think, like I said, I think you'd be phenomenal at it. But whatever you just thrive, and I love it. I just love to see it. All right, on.
So perfect. Well, we're gonna do a quick shout out to our social media handles, and then we'll let go. But turn off your camera just yet.
Yeah, don't leave yet. Yeah, so you
Okay.
guys can find us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Basic Banter for Witches, or you can email us, but like nothing rude or mean. Basic Banter for Witches at gmail.com.
Not that
They've
we
never,
have,
not that we have, but
just
you know
don't
what I
wanna
mean?
attract that
Don't just
shitty.
like, exactly. We also don't attract that. We attract all the good, not like the spam.
Right.
Not like the mean people. There's none. We don't have any of those people in our
We
group.
don't
We
have
know
any of
this,
those
but
people.
we
need
don't.
them.
Exactly. We don't need them. Exactly. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Stacey. Honestly,
Thank
like I said, we
you.
totally appreciate it. And to everybody else, we'll see you next week.
Next week. Yay. Bye now.
Bye guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.